Now let's talk to Harold the H all together. Peacock. And he is an Ipswich historian, and he's a character. And you go to historyouthere.com and you can find out all these stories. He comes up, this one's... Damien and I have been looking forward to this all morning because it involves embezzlement back 104 years ago, and it involves a priest, I forgot what the other one is.
Turkish bath.
And a solicitor.
Oh, and solicitor.
All right?
I was more intrigued about the Turkish bath.
Well, they're all in there in the nude with those turbans on their heads.
Oh, okay.
Got to cover something up. How are you there, Harold the H?
Fantastic, Danny, and I knew you the Turkish bath that they get your attention.
Now, listen, mate, the people have got to, when they meet you, they've got to go, you go, my name's Harold Peacock, and they've got to go, ark. That's the new thing we've got to start, right?
Look, apparently it's happening already, but yeah, the more the better, because Danny, you got a lot of followers out there, and they just do what you tell them to do.
Well, we got to start the ark. I'm sure some people will sway from the ark to do something else, and Graham Kennedy be in heaven saying, "My God, they're in trouble for that." All right, mate, let's talk about the Turkish bath, the priest, and the solicitor.
Yeah, Danny, it's all about it starts with the Ipswich solicitor, James Francis Hayes, who in 1917 was charged with defrauding his business partner and clients in what remains Ipswich's biggest ever embezzlement. He was found guilty of misappropriations totalling £26,000.
Wow.
Which in today's money, based on average weekly earnings, is over $15 million.
Wow.
His partner, Jacob Bourne, had suffered a paralytic stroke in 1911 and was described by his wife as practically an imbecile ever since. Now, that's when Hayes was brought in as a partner.
Yeah.
And he started ripping off the business pretty well straight away.
Hayes is insane, the Hayes.
Yeah. And this Hayes acquired a house in Murphy Street in Ipswich, farming properties at Stanthorpe, various insurance policies and allotments all over town. He also ran up huge gambling debts, and in court it was said that he just settled with a bookmaker for £2,000.
Wow.
But the most despicable act he did, Danny, was when he posed as a lawyer with the War Council. This was during the First World War.
Right.
He convinced an Ipswich widow that if she had money in the bank, her only son would not be able to claim exemption from military service as her sole support. Hayes stole £360 off her and left her with just £32 in her account.
Blood you.
Anyway, Hayes was declared insolvent. He was struck off as a solicitor and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment on St Helena Island.
Right.
And his partner, Jacob Bourne, was declared insane.
Right.
But it didn't have to be that way. You see, Hayes came from a reasonably decent family. His father was famous as the first altar boy for the first Bishop of Brisbane.
Well.
And Hayes's brother was a Catholic priest. Now, while Hayes was still in prison, his father died, and so he and his brother, the priest, became owners of a number of Brisbane properties, which included a Turkish bathhouse.
Get out.
It's true, and the properties were sold for £17,000.
A lot of money.
But of course, Hayes' share didn't go to him; it went straight to his creditors. But when he did get out of prison, it wasn't long before he's up to his old tricks. You see, in 1931, he was back in court where he made a long speech in a dock and pleaded guilty to having defrauded, this time, £200.
Wow.
He was sentenced by the Chief Justice, Sir James Blair, who coincidentally had actually defended Hayes in the original embezzlement trial in 1917. Blair sentenced him to another 2.5 years in prison, this time with hard labour.
Right.
Now, when Hayes was again in prison, this time his bachelor uncle, John Hayes, died. His uncle John had twice been mayor of Sandgate. Now, from a huge estate of £93,000, which is about $50 million,
wow.
his uncle left £1,000 to his housekeeper, and a good portion of the rest he left to Hayes' brother, the priest. But the criminal Hayes, he was not even mentioned. So, Danny, the lesson here is, even 100 years ago, crime does not pay, especially when it involves a priest in a Turkish bath.
Crime does not pay. Big money mentioned there. A lot of embezzlement. And you, again, got your snout right down in the dirty bits and got the good stuff for us again. Research. That's your... You got to go up to him and go, Harold H. Research. You're very good, Harold.
Yeah, and Danny, I want to hear the arc when I'm out at the Ipswich Historical Society at Newchum tomorrow morning, because I'm telling some stories from a booked over court. So anyone passing, come out to the Historical Society and arc. I want to hopefully meet you there.
Arc up. So where's that? Where are you going to be tomorrow?
That's at the Ipswich Historical Society at Newchum from 10 o'clock. There's morning tea. I think it's $10 or $5 for members.
It's a great spot. It's a great spot. And go and say, Harold the H, arc. Great to meet you. That was Harold the H, arc, peacock. Ipswich historian, historyouthere.com on West Bremer Radio.